Hi, welcome to Let Us Know. This is me, your presenter, Lado Watanjada. In our today's program, we are going to discuss about the activities of the National Ministry of Lands, Housing and Physical Infrastructure. So, joined with us in the studio is Honorable Alikaya Aligo Samson, who is the Undersecretary in the Ministry. Honorable, you are welcome to our program.
Thank you, Mr. Warden.
Could you please tell us the current activities of your ministry, as many people are really wondering or even fail to understand the role your ministry is doing in building this country?
Okay. Second, also, I give you a lot of thanks in the beginning for availing me this chance on behalf of the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Physical Planning to share with you or to shed light on some of the activities of the ministry and have a dialogue with the concerned people as far as the urban developments are concerned. The ministry has got a lot of things, a lot of role. It is one of the national ministries in total charge of the responsibilities of lands and physical planning and the housing sector. So definitely it plays a lot of roles, and it contributes a lot into the economy of the country. Yeah.
Okay, can you, you said you have a lot. Can you tell us, Honorable, what are some of your short-term plans and long-term plans?
Well, at the moment, we are embarking much on the legislation. That's to create the legal environment for the better governance of lands, for instance, because land is one of the crucial issues that emerged, especially after the independence. The role of the government and the role of the as a national government and the role of the state government and the role of the community also has to be spelled out clear. And we're addressing that one through the national land policy, which will be tabled soon to the Assembly. Housing sector is very important. As you see, it is really causing a challenge. If you don't own a house, you are somebody with a less dignity. And in the urban setups, you'll find that housing is a big issue because, first of all, the affordability to it, leave aside if you don't own it. If you don't own, you have to rent. And the rents are very exorbitant, are very high. And even accessing land in the urban settlement also becomes another challenge. Plus the general physical planning, the roads, the other services, basic infrastructure, how we link ourselves, the states with the other states, the states with the county, and down to the level with a good infrastructure, and the infrastructure services within the urban settlements also. That's why we're saying that we have a critical and crucial role to play for the social welfare of our societies.
Okay, Honorable, this ministry has been established right from the beginning, when after the sign of comprehensive peace agreement and the formation of the government of Southern Sudan until now. What are some of the achievements that the ministry was able to make really?
We have done positive achievement in the legal framework. We developed the housing policy, and we developed the land policy, and we have been running also the properties and the buildings under the national government, for example, the renovation and so forth. And we are in continuous guidance relationship with the states. We had the first National Urbanization Conference, which brought all the 10 states together, the Ministry of Physical Infrastructure, and we shared the communalities. And we paved a kind of a strategic plan which we developed in the ministry for the next 5 years together. And definitely we're going to implement it together. And this is targeting to see that housing really is made easy for people to access it and to live in a decent houses. So these are the major activities, besides the normal role of the ministry assisting in surveying, because we have gone to WOW, we have gone to Awil, we have gone to partly to Rumbek, and assisting, and in Juba here we assist the states in building their capacities and so forth.
Okay, you talk of the plans that you have developed. Can you please tell us some of these policies that you people have developed about the lands and the housing? What does it say?
Yeah, we have the land policy, which is very important. As I said, now we are living in a dilemma situation. Who owns the land? Who is responsible for the land? Who disseminates it? Who takes the taxes? If there is any kind of a transaction. So there is a total kind of a vacuum absence in the land administration as. And who is responsible for the stock, you see, of the land? So our national land policy, which was developed with the full assistance from the South Sudan Land Commission, it has taken us almost 4 years process of development. It has a comprehensive approach in addressing all these aspects which I mentioned, especially to provide a good land governance. And also the European Union has come in also to boost or to make us really move ahead with a better land governance in the South Sudan, and contributing with technical assistance of 2 million euros to that extent. Because you need to see that people own the secure land tenants, because it's a big issue today. One plot has got multiplicity of land tenant documents. You are living in a house, it can be sold out, and tomorrow somebody comes. You finish with this one, you get into another cycle of this one. So these are the issues. The government properties also has to be guided properly, because some of the government property we are seeing them fast being shifted into private ones. So this is also another way of, we can say that looting actually directly from the resources of the public. And then you need to have this policy also to make sure that also accessibility, whether for housing or for agricultural purposes, are easy, because we have a lot of investors who like to come in. So definitely they must invest on the ground, whether it is agricultural or housing development. They need to be availed with that one. Our policy also promote the relationship between us and the states in the management, and also in availing of land to be easy for housing developments.
Okay, what are the areas of your concern between you and the ministries of physical infrastructure in the state?
First of all, the ministries are one body. It is a government with a devolution of powers and responsibilities between the national, the state, and what is to be done at the local government level with that one. So we share with them the same aspect of whether it is land governance, it is housing, and it is the physical planning. They are responsible for the implementation, and we put the main policies and the goals that we need to achieve in short-term or mid-term or long-term plans.
Okay, could you please tell us about the World Urban Forum that you people had a chance to attend in Colombia?
Yeah, the World Urban Forum, this is the 7th World Urban Forum, which took place between the 5th and the 12th of April. And South Sudan has the pleasure that it was represented by the Minister of Lands, Housing and Physical Planning, Madame Catherine Juan, and I also was in the delegation. We were supposed to be 3 from the South Sudan, including the mayor of Juba, because the invitation was extended to him, but for these reasons he couldn't make it. The World Urban Forum, it is an important forum that brings most of the intellectuals, most of the academia, administrators, politicians, to come and discuss issues of concern urbanization. Because urbanization is a challenge now. We see that the population of the cities are growing very, very, very fast. And the UN Habitat is telling us that by the year 2050, the world population will increase from now almost 6 or 7 billion to 9.5 billion. And most of those people will be living in urban cities, especially in the continent of Africa. So you need to take this into consideration to see into how, first of all, the urban settlements could accept this kind of organization of the population. So this is it. And the forum has been done under the theme of urban equity in development, as cities for all. And this means a lot for us as planners if we say cities for all.
Okay, now what's your ministry doing to catch up with that, that urban growing?
First of all, we as a ministry, we've been working in partnership with UN Habitat also to see that we be part of the globe in addressing this issue of urbanization. And for the last 3 years, the minister has been working through a consultant to see how we could develop a national urbanization policy. And the national urbanization is being developed now to a level of almost 90%, and the final sharing of it will be in the next South Sudan Urbanization Conference. We have done the first one 2 years ago, and then this year, hopefully, either this month or next month, we'll be doing the second National Urbanization Conference, so that we address most of the critical issues of the urbanization. That you need city for all. A city for all means a lot. First of all, the city has to bridge the gap between the high areas where they get people, they always give them services, and those who are living in the squatter settlement doesn't have access for that one. We need to see that all our cities and the towns have their viable master plans developed, because now we don't have a master plan. You don't know which direction is the city is growing, what is to be utilized today, and what is to be utilized in the 5th year. And therefore, you have to plan also the services accordingly. The water, the electricity, the fiber optics, and other things has to go together. Rather than having a city running first, maybe with squatters or land speculators distributing the lands without providing the services. Because the beneficiaries of the cities at the end, when they settle here, they'll start looking at the government. Where is the water? We don't have electricity, no road, you see. And this can overcome or overwhelm the government plan if it is not go in accordance with the government plans. And the other thing which we would like also to look into it, how do we manage our cities? Because the city expands very large, and we find that the population is very small. And instead, we would have accommodated them. We can go for densification. No need to expand anyhow like that, to give everybody plot 20 by 20 or 50 by 50. You see, people can go increase the level, 1 floor, 2 floors, and reduce the size of the plant so that you have people put in the same place with a good density. We need to achieve the density. Therefore, the services also now can be valued, because I cannot connect water for 2 miles only to save 100 houses. You see. So it doesn't generate or it doesn't meet the cost of the services that has been given. So these are some of the challenges. Another challenge also with what we learned also from Medellin and the concern of the people is to see that the equity is achieved, is to see that the urban development is put in place, and to see that also we have an agenda for the urbanization, to harness it, to shift from the old paradigm that urbanization of people coming to the city is a disaster, because some people come, they don't find job, they don't find house, they live in a squalid situation, they rent a small house, and then there is congestion, and definitely will have a negative impact as a social decay in the society. So these are the concerns of urbanization, and therefore we have to be ready to see that we really embrace and harness urbanization for better living and for better economic growth.
Okay, Engineer Alkaya, it seems there was a problem, you know, since the sign of comprehensive peace agreement. The urban growing is only seen in Juba, not in other towns in the whole of the south. I don't know how we are addressing this situation, because people want to see into that at least the capital city of all the states are developed at once, so that it even minimizes the issue of, you know, people flocking to the capital city.
Yeah, it is true that a lot of people, after the signing of the comprehensive peace, they may have dashed to the main capital. As a traditional way, most of the people always tends to run towards the capital. Basically, for employment opportunities, they think that I can get an employment, or those who think that education will be better there. And then also, if we didn't follow proper policies, you see that the government will start concentrating most of the development, first of all, in the capital. But in the case of South Sudan, I think we are very lucky. we started with a decentralized system of having 10 states. So Juba, yes, the population jumped approximately from 200,000 to nearly 1.2 million. But the other states also remain as the conduits because they absorb a good number of population. You will see that most of our the other states, almost even including Malakal and Wow, the population is ranging between 500 to 600 or 700,000. And even we have the potential counties also. Counties, you find that almost who have reached a population of 500,000 people. Like Yei, you have a 500,000 people, and this is clear. You have a Kapoita, is a potential habitat, and you have a Rang. Rang, the population is not less than 600,000. So it is not true that most of the South Sudanese influx into Juba. Yeah, yes, we have a big army which moved for purpose of organization. We have business people came and attacked it, and also most of the people from outside came and focused in Juba. So for me, I think the influx towards the city has been equal. Yeah.
Okay, in terms of urban growing, what's your guidelines to those guys? Like, okay, we have businessmen, businesswomen are coming, and their aim of coming here only to concentrate in Juba. What's your role here as a ministry to tell them that, look, town is not only in Juba, we have several towns?
Yes, we shared with the states, the ministries, first of all, to have a clear master plan, and then to open up the development, and then give equal opportunities, especially see how to attract investors into the areas. Some of the investors, first of all, have the speculation that we have just come from a long war, and there is a probability that we may get into another war. Therefore, they don't feel that they're safe in some of the states. Yeah, which was almost like a proven wrong, but with the last incident, we can say that it is true. But we encourage, this is one policy, to see that each state has also a plan. We encourage them that all the investors which comes here, we said, if you want to put houses, the focus shouldn't be Juba alone. The focus should be also go to the states. Even in our strategic planning of putting 1 million houses target, we almost distributed it over the 10 states, including Ramshell itself. That Ramshell is also expected to come up as a capital. Therefore, Ramshell may benefit out of the quota of 1 million houses as a target to improve the housing conditions here. So the best way always, if the services are there, especially electricity generation, which most of the people goes, and unfortunately they focus in Juba, and Juba doesn't have a kind of a central electricity. They're using generators, yeah. And the second thing also, we need to look at the building of the infrastructure between us and the other states, which can encourage most of the investors which are coming from outside and try to concentrate in Juba. Because moving the purchase on goods from the neighboring countries and to Juba, and then taking them from here, they're leaving the role almost to our nationals to pick up. And actually, it is supposed to be the case, but unfortunately, our nationals doesn't have the capacity of trading like that one. So we would like always to ride together. We as a ministry, it is our dream to see into that the urbanization in South Sudan doesn't concentrate much in Juba or in the next city, which is Ramshell. It has to be evenly distributed. And this is what we are encouraging to see, that the urbanization will move it right away from here to the rural areas. We have to urbanize our rural areas. And this is almost in line with taking the towns
okay, until we'll come back there, but let's go for a break, and then we'll be back and continue with our discussion.
possibility.
Welcome back to Let Us Know. We are discussing about the activities of Ministry of Lands, Housing and Physical Planning at the national level. And with us in the studio is Honorable Alika Ligo Samson, who is telling us more about this, the activities of the ministry. Honorable, can you tell us, you was talking about Ramshell, and we know the plan of Ramshell have already been started. Can you tell us how far have you gone in this plan?
Well, with Ramshell, so far we have finished the feasibility study, which was done by a Korean company, which is called Korea Land and Housing Corporation. And we finished the feasibility study, and they've given us the final report. And our minister, I think some few weeks ago, was able to see the president, giving the president a summary of the work done at Ramshell. The next stage at Ramshell should have commenced, and it is the stage of the master plan development. And this also can take us a period of nearly 1 year, 2 years. And we need the new city also to be well planned and well developed. So it will take its course, I think, if we finish the master plan and we start putting in the infrastructure development before the people could move in. I think it is the healthier way. And this can take us another period of not less than 6 or 7 months according to the feasibility, years, according to the feasibility study. So it's better that we go in a more scientific approach rather than just moving the capital like that and say we are there. But now as a ministry, we are already almost at the ground. We are planning to put our base down there, and this will encourage the people who like to know about the progress to go ahead. Also will encourage the top leadership to visit the site regularly, and we see the opportunity of a new city will bring us.
You mean to tell us that the people are already on the ground?
Well, Ramshell is, there is population, of course, on the ground.
I mean your staff.
Yeah, the staff are there. Yeah. We have a team. We have a unit within the ministry that handles the Ramshell. We have a technical team which comprises of the stakeholders ministries, because about 8 or 9 ministries are all concerned with the development. So we share together, we work always together, and then the master plan development also, they will be highly engaged in that one.
Okay, maybe that brings me to a question where we always see area demarcation goes without road connection or road construction, water and electricity network connection. Is it going to happen the same with Ramshell? Because usually people go without the road being connected, without water being connected, without electricity even being connected. Is it going to be the case in Ramshell, or is a new?
It is not going to be the case in Ramshell, and even we didn't desire that it should be the case with the other cities or the towns. That's why we urge always that a master plan has to be there very clearly that tells you how the city will expand, whether immediately or as a short-term plan or even after 10 or 15 or 20 years. And normal master plans are developed to cater for an expansion of the town for almost a longer period, which may be 20 or 30, but most of the planners urge that make it 40 years. Like Juba now, Juba should have been well planned with the imagination of how Juba is going to be after 40 years. And you need to take a large chunk of land, plan that one first of all, put it as a master plan. For example, you can plan Juba at a radius of 40 kilometers and say, this is the master plan, this is how we want Juba to be in the next 40 years. And then therefore, while you are moving, and then the government knows exactly that this year my budget is this, and I can attract investment in this area, and then we can put, distribute 1,000, 2,000 plots, and the outcome from that, the revenues generated also will be recycled. So Ramshell, that's why I'm saying we have to have the master plan, and we have to put the basic infrastructure before we start allotting of plots to the people. And we are also negotiating with our stakeholders, the states. Also, this is how a city should be planned. Not to allow somebody just get up with a chief or an elder and say, this is my land, and then I distribute it, and I give it out as 200, 300 plots, and people move there. And at the end of the day, they find that there is no proper road, you see. Or they have gone ahead with the resources available for the planning. You cannot give them electricity. Take aside, like, if you have gone to far away at Gudele, and Juba have already expanded also that side of the east, or Yei Road, you see. There are people already there.
Yes.
You see? Yeah. And then they're living a life which is like not planned. There is no city transport which goes there. There is no water. Government has not put a police station. Government has not put this one. Because these are the things that the government facilitate, yeah. So we hope that with our policy, the land policy, the housing policy development, and then the urbanization policy, these things will be corrected and put under proper control.
Okay, the issue of the estate houses, is it going to be the same? Are you going to implement it in Ramshell, or you also repeat the same thing of giving people plots rather than giving them a full house built?
Well, most of the investors so far which have approached us, we encourage them to go for development of settlements, and in form of estates or in form of a small parcel of plots. And we tend to discourage this issue of the plots because of it becomes taking much land, and it will constrain the efforts of the government to deliver the services. So estates is the best way, because you will maximize, as I said before, the density, and people may go to second floor or 2 floors also. We need to encourage that, people to live in that. Or even if not, we have the model of the estates, like commonly our people are living in Nairobi in form of estates. Yeah, this is what we are encouraging, and all investors. We as Minister of Housing, we are not the providers, we are the facilitators. We facilitate, yeah, and we see that any investor comes, the legal framework is put there. Whatever they need in terms of land accessibility and who to partner with and other things, this is what we should be doing. But again, we should be intervening process. For example, we are working on housing finance and mortgage, which is a very important aspect. People, those even who have the plots, are unable to develop their plots. So once you avail them with these facilities, they will do it. 2, there are people who have a junk of plots. They can develop estates, but finance is the major constraint. So with this one, I think it will be done. So we prefer that we go for a form of the estates, and of course the rich people who would like to own, to live on 50 by 50, having a plot with a swimming pool and so forth, that is also their rights, yeah. But not everybody is assumed that I must get a plot of 30 by 30 land. So.
Okay, you talked before about the policy of taking town to the people, and indeed that was the dream of our late hero, Dr. John Garang, to take town to the people. How far have you seen this policy really touch the ground, especially you being let me just call the leader to implement this policy? Because the taking town to the people is about these services like good houses, good roads, good whatever. How far is this policy being implemented so far, as based on your assessment as a ministry? And what are you doing to ensure that this policy is really implemented?
Yeah, so far I can say that the government has moved a wide range on that one. Basically, to start with the road infrastructure. And our roads infrastructure, I can say that most of our 10 states and even most of the counties are accessible. And even the feeder roads, 70 of most of the old feeder roads have been rehabilitated since we got the independence. And this is one major instrument of linking you with the rural areas. This is a fundamental area that you make it accessible. And this is taking the capital. Then now the delivery of some of the services for them. For example, if there is water, there is a health unit, and there is water and other things. And then again, the third one is how to reorganize their settlements, because they will not feel that they are living in a town until we change the way how we live in the rural areas. In the rural areas, you'll find that everybody wants to live in the chamber, you see, and it becomes, giving them services becomes difficult, because we will put one borehole here, and the one borehole, the family has to move something like 1 kilometer to come and take the water here. But if we change the planning and the style of developing our human settlements, we concentrate them and we bring them and live in a kind of a small town. Water can be accessed, easily can provide solar electricity to them. It can put a school, it can be easy and so forth. And therefore, the urban life will start changing, you see, because while you are focusing on farming, somebody will be doing another business, become innovative. I have to provide breakfast for the schools. I have to provide tea. And this is how urbanization catches, and that's why we're saying that we move to urbanize the areas, and this is implementing the concept of taking the town to the people. Definitely, our rural areas, whether we like it or not, urbanization is a reality, it's moving, you see. So that's why we have to move it. So I think that we are on the right track by, first of all, pronouncing that taking the town to the people, which is also a fundamental pillar in our housing policy. So the houses we are targeting as 1 million in our strategic plan is not going to be only in the major headquarters of the states. Yeah, they will go down to the counties and even go down to the payams. And this will encourage even the educated people to move back to the bombers and to the payams.
Okay, you are talking of 1 million houses. When exactly are you trying to implement this?
We have started. We are putting the legal framework, making the environment conducive, attracting the investors, and there are investors who have been discussing with them, those who would like to put some houses. For example, we have houses for Africa, a Zimbabwean base here. We went with them. We talked about putting something like houses to the tune of $100 million. We as a government also are going to be part of Shelter Afrique. And Shelter Afrique will have a conference by June. So this is another area that we can loan money. And we have a company called Opportunity Africa and some investors in Dubai and China who would like to put houses here. And we encourage them. Partly like in Central Equatoria now you have China Chengdu. Is a company which is working, putting houses. At the far end of Luri, they are putting houses. And here near the John Garang Museum, they are putting some houses. And they've put a number of apartments near Juba 1, you see. So these are the facilitation, you see. So the 1 million is not the central government to build it like this, but we facilitate and we take the stock into accounts. Even what the private sector has done, because we made the enabling environment for them to build. Yeah, that's how it is.
You know, also there is this problem of, you know, some investors are fearing to come here because most of our things are coming from outside. I don't know, in collaboration with other ministries concerned, how are you working, or can you ensure to the people, especially investors, because building materials are the most difficult problem, which make things to be difficult really. What are you doing in order to make sure these things are even, especially investors who can come and invest on cement, on iron and what? Is there any plan going on?
Yes, you are right. Our housing development has been stamped or derailed by dependency on importation of everything. In the beginning, we were importing the building materials and even the skilled workforce. All were coming from outside. But today there is a shift a little bit. We find that our nationals are almost taking over. Now I can say it is 50-50. You can see people have discovered that employment through the housing sector is a lucrative and there is a chance there. If you have gone now surveying around, you'll see that South Sudanese have taken contracts of building and construction. This is one. The other one is the building materials locally. Yeah, and this has to be developed. Yeah, and it is good now that gravels are there, people are exploring it, and people are producing sand and maram, and then carpentry work is a little bit going, and then some people now are on the steel making. But industry has to come up. If there is no industry that supports the housing sector, then it becomes also very expensive. And most of the industry, of course, depends on, you need the electricity, first of all. That's why you can have a little bit heavy industry. But most of the industries which are available now in Juba, if you have gone around, it's still the raw materials, they bring them from outside. And then they fabricate the zinc, they fabricate the aluminiums here, but most of it are from outside. But we need to invest a lot to see into that. We pour money to invest, because one of the major items is cement. Yeah, so far we're importing cement, and we have the potential of producing cement here. But the question of electricity is it's a challenge. And we hope with the development full rapid to supply something like 40 megawatts to Juba. This will boost some industries to come. And maybe with Kennedy Hydro, if we are very strong, and then we direct our electricity towards the cement manufacturer. And then, of course, steel also we need, because most of it were importing building materials, and it makes it an expensive exercise for somebody really to complete a house in Juba. Otherwise, if we don't manufacture here locally, and we don't look into the appropriate technology of using the local materials, now everybody wants to import things from outside. But we need to change also the attitude of our people, how to accept their own local materials and for consumption.
Okay, finally, what's your message to conclude our discussion?
Our message is, one is to work together with all the states and the ministries, and to focus especially on the issue of the urbanization, which is becoming as a challenge. We in the ministry, we will work and see how we disseminate more ideas, more concepts, more modalities of how to have our own approach to the urbanization, and we address it. And then we stopped the heavy migration of the people from rural areas to the major cities. This is, should be one strategy. The other strategy is to work with the stakeholders also, like UN Habitat and so forth, who always helps us, especially in putting up a kind of urbanization committee or urbanization groups, and doing a lot of research, because one area we are not good at, we are not doing research. We don't know what was happening some years back and what is now, and then what is going to be in the future. So therefore we need to work together with all our academia institutions, like Juba University, the other universities, and other ministries, and even the local people are very important to give their inputs. And the last is to see how we become a member of the world in addressing the global issues of urbanization, making our cities really for all, looking at our city. There is something we call it City Prosperity Index. And the City Prosperity Index is that the infrastructure development is good, and we have the equity in the development. We have the environment, which should be concerned, because most of the cities are the most pollutant of environment. And then we need to see that our city is also a job creative, you see. Otherwise, we will not see a kind of economic prosperity and welfare for our people.
Thank you very much, our dear viewers. We have come to the end of our discussion. Till then, bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Yeah.